Hey guys, Hunter Topper here, and I'm on Quora, and I see that there's a question about how to make my website load faster. So you kind of have to diagnose why your website is loading slow to begin with. And so, like, this is a website that I'm working on right now, and we're kind of in the middle of optimizing. And so what you need to do is kind of figure out what is wrong with the website, or what's slowing the website down. An easy tool to kind of like see right off the rip is put it into search.eu, and you can come down here and kind of see what they give their score, and they can kind of tell you, oh, you got to enable compressioning, leverage browser caching, optimize images. They kind of give you a little bit of other things, but if you go to webpagetest.org, this is a tool that Google actually uses. Is you can just put your website in there, and they're going to give you like a huge thing of data here, and we can see that the website takes 8.6 seconds to load up, which is a long time. We kind of want it around 2 to 3 seconds is kind of like where we want it. They'll even tell you right here, it's like, okay, well, for spike time is really good, keep alive enabled really good, compressed transfer, B, compressed images, F, cache static content, that looks good, and effective use of a CDN because it uses a CDN. Basically, a CDN is I'll talk about CDN here in a second, but right now we're going to talk about on-page issues. Okay, so if we scroll down here, we can kind of see content breakdown, and we can kind of see what's taking up the most of everything here. So you can see that images is literally 82.9% of the bytes that is being fed to people who visit the website. So the first thing that we need to do is there's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish images on here. Is that the first thing that we would need to do is go to all those images and then go shrink them all down so that they become much smaller. Your website may have a lot of like JavaScript in the background, or it could have a lot of like CSS in the background or something, and then you kind of have to like just take that away or find a way to make it smaller. But for most people's websites, the homepage normally just has huge images, is what it is, and it's taking a long time to upload these huge images for people to see. Now, on the off-page side of things that you can do to kind of like speed up your website is you need to put it on you need to contact wherever you're hosting the website and see if you can get a CDN. So what a CDN essentially is called a content delivery network. We can look at a picture here. So a content delivery network essentially copies, and the easiest way to explain is that it copy and pastes your website and puts it all over the place. So like, let's say your website is only on this left-hand side right here, and somebody over here is trying to reach it. Well, basically, it's going to take their internet connection from point A all the way over here to point B to come get it. But if you had a CDN and it copied and pasted it on multiple servers around the world, this guy right here is going to access it from right here instead of way over here. So it's going to be a much quicker thing. So you can do the same thing for in the United States. If your website is primarily US based, you can still have CDN servers all over the US, so that whether they're in Florida, California, excuse me, Florida, California, Maine, New York, wherever they're at, it's loading up the fastest as possible. Another thing that you can do is to cache your website. If you're on WordPress, if you just put in, WordPress cache plugins, there's a bunch of them. WP Rocket, Fastest Cache, HyperCache, Cacheify. I can't remember which one is the one that I use, but they all pretty much do the same thing. So what it pretty much does is it takes a snapshot of what your website looks like, and when people come back to it, if they come back to it, basically it helps it load up faster, because then their computer, it's like kind of like cookies. Like, their website basically already knows what is what's there, so it's already loading up things that it already knows that's there and stuff, and it allows it to like cache smaller things to help them load up faster, or it can help cache larger things that also help them like load up faster. Essentially, it's just saving stuff so that it can load up faster. So maybe having a website that's not as dynamically changing in the front, where it's like always changing, you got like blog posts always coming in and out and stuff like that, or it's different for every single person that sees it. You can cache the website extremely quickly, and those are the main ways to kind of like speed up a website. If you just kind of Google other ways to speed up a WordPress site, we'll say, we can kind of go in here, and it says, so choose a good host. So obviously, right, like if you're using a shit host like Bluehost or something, and you're not paying, like, you should be at least paying $10 a month for hosting. If you're not, there's probably something wrong. Okay. Start a solid framework slash theme. So again, they're just saying like make sure that your WordPress theme isn't like CSS heavy, it's not JavaScript heavy. We talked about that in the web page test here. Make sure that there's not endless amounts of code in the background. Again, use an effective caching plugin. Use a CDN content. Optimize images. Optimize your homepage to load quickly. So this one is kind of going into what I was saying where so WordPress has like a thing where however many plugins and widgets you have, like all of them could be running on the homepage, but you don't need them all running on the homepage. So really take away some of your widgets and stuff like that if you're not using them for everything, or if there's just other things that you can kind of utilize. I've never done this before. I've never done optimize your WordPress database. I've never looked into this either. I'll definitely be looking into this to disable hot linking and leeching of your content. So it probably means that like other websites are scraping your content, and so basically like your server is constantly being used, which means if your server is constantly being used, so when other people come to your server or your website, basically there's already like stuff happening in the background, which can make it go longer. Yeah, so add an expire header to static resources. So yeah, make sure your stuff just isn't changing all the time. You can add adding lazy load is actually pretty good. I forgot about this plugin. Basically, like instead of loading up everything all in one go, it loads up like as they're scrolling down. So it may look like it's loading up slowly if somebody's like flying through the page, but for the most part, people don't really care. Ping backs and trackbacks. This is actually a really good article. Replace PHP with static HTML when necessary. That's most people don't really need to use that. And use Cloudflare, which is just another kind of like caching CDN type thing. But yeah, like pretty much those are like to get started. It's normally just images, CDN, good hosting. And then after that, you can get into these, you can get into these things and just start getting into the nitty gritty and start just like working on all of these like little waterfall errors and stuff like that, all the things that are loading in and out, and all the things that are kind of slowing your website down. So yeah, so if that's where you would start. Take your website, put it in Storage, see what Storage says here, put it into web page speed, see what it says as far as the grading on the very top. Come down, see where all of your bytes are at, where all your requests are at. And then after that, then look up this website. I'll try to put this in the description here, sparingmind.com, speed up WordPress. And then, just do all of these things, just as a general reminder. All right.